All right, everyone, welcome to the Sunny Days Media Football Show, Week 18, regular season finale. We got Chris back here. It's been a while. Welcome back, Chris.
Happy to have you.
Um, Before we get going, because I always forget, let's do it in the beginning. Chris, plug all your work. Tell everybody where they can find you.
CPNY Sports on YouTube. You know what the deal is. I've been covering Mets this offseason. I've been taking up the bulk of my time with the Giants being out of it. So, been focusing more on the MLB and NBA side of things with the Knicks talk. They're doing great. I was actually just at the Knicks game last night. It was electric here in DC. So,
Oh yeah,
I
good game.
appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel. Yeah, it was a great game. I definitely agree. Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Quick shout out to Larry Chiafalo. Always tuning in. Papa Jerry. So we have a lot of playoff scenarios today. And I have a tweet here from Schefter. If I could pull this up, bookmarks. I'm going to go through all these quick. For the NFC. Here we go. Oh. All right. For the NFC. Atlanta. Jesus Christ. Atlanta can clinch the South if they win and Tampa Bay loses. Dallas can clinch the East if they win flat out or if they tie and Philly ties or loses. Packers clinch a playoff berth if they win flat out. There's a bunch of tying scenarios. I'm not really. I guess I'll just say fuck the tying scenarios.
Honestly, you never know.
Okay. If they tie, Seattle loses or ties, and New Orleans loses or ties. If Green Bay ties, and Seattle loses, Tampa Bay loses, they get in. If Green Bay ties, Seattle ties. If Minnesota loses or ties with us, and Seattle loses, or Tampa Bay loses, they get in. If Minnesota loses or ties, Seattle loses, and New Orleans loses. So Green Bay essentially need to win. Minnesota clinches if they beat the Lions today. Green Bay loses, Seattle loses, Tampa Bay loses. Or if Minnesota wins and Green Bay and Seattle, yeah, that was the same thing. Or New Orleans. New Orleans gets in if they win and Tampa Bay loses or ties. New Orleans clinches a playoff berth. All right. Philadelphia wins the East if they win and Dallas loses, or if they tie and Dallas loses. Seattle gets in. They're playing Arizona. If they win and Green Bay loses, if they tie and Green Bay loses and Tampa Bay loses, or if they tie and Green Bay loses, New Orleans loses. Tampa Bay gets in if they win flat out, or if they tie and New Orleans loses. That's for the NFC. For the AFC, which I think is probably a little more interesting, Buffalo wins and they win the East. They clinch a playoff berth if they tie. If they tie flat out, or Pittsburgh won.
The Steelers won. The Steelers winning fucked a lot of things up. Not fucked a lot of things up, but kind of threw a wrench into a lot of these scenarios that were like panned out.
So let's look at the AFC South here. If the Jaguars actually, Facino, this is your team. Why don't you get into the AFC South? What
Oh, you know what? Right before I get into it, Stevie Mack, I didn't start the Marcus Robinson. I went with the homegrown guy with Jordan Addison. And you know what? I got fucked because Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce they got to get their head out of their ass, those two. I cannot believe
Taylor Swift sucked the soul out of Travis
the
Kelce.
Fucking first and second overall pick on those guys. I thought that was going to be my bread and butter. Said I'm going to get to the finals. Don't worry about it. I got the best player in football and his weapon. And you know what? I'm never doing that again. But what are you gonna do? You learn from your mistakes. Josh Allen in the first round next year. I book it. I'm doing it,
dude. Even that is a little dicey. I picked Josh Allen, I think, in the second round, and he was kind of very hit or miss this year for me. But
Well, Holmes, it's terrible. But even if I did start Demarcus Robinson, it wouldn't have mattered. I needed Amari Cooper and I needed Mostert to play. But all right. So for the AFC South, the Jaguars win and they're in. That's it.
Do they win the division?
Yeah, they win the division.
Okay.
All they gotta do is win, and then they win the division.
If they lose, they're not in.
If they lose, they are out, which is good. It's funny because when you can lose and still get in, there's like thought in your head like, oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter if you lose, you can still get help. You want but you want your backs against the wall a week early if to really get everybody ready for what's about to come. You don't want to be stumbling into the playoffs. You want to put a few wins together. So the Jaguars, I mean, they're playing the Titans. Everybody's healthy. If Trevor Lawrence plays, the whole team is healthy. So at that point, if you lose to the Titans without Jeffrey Simmons, with a banged up offensive line, Ryan Tannehill's playing at like 30 whatever years old. Derrick Henry looks like he needs to take a year off or something to get the legs back. But like, there's just no way that the Jaguars lose this game.
The Texans are either going to be the 4 seed or they're going to be like the 7.
They'd be 4 or
Texans got it no matter what.
If the Bills lose, the Texans would be the 5 seed. No, they'd be the 6 seed. The Browns are the automatic 5 seed. If the Jaguars win, they play the Browns. Depending on what happens in the Chiefs and the Chiefs and the other division winner right now.
Did we all have eyes on Texans Colts last night?
Yes, we did. I'm not the biggest fan of. I guess I was reading something on the internet today that said Jonathan Taylor was just gassed out for that fourth down. The fourth down play when they called the timeout. Why would you waste a timeout there? The worst part is that the Texans went 3 and out when they got the ball back. So if you had that third timeout, you would have got the ball back with like 57 seconds left and said they only had 15
Did you see
seconds.
the video of I don't know if JPA Football, someone tweeted it. The video of the Colts head coach on the sidelines after that play telling Gardner Minshew, that's on you. That's your fault.
No, he didn't say that.
It was a shitty throw. It was a shitty throw.
He said, "We had it, Shoe. We had it. We had it. They definitely. I
don't. Yeah, I think we had it.
Hope a
a lot
coach
more.
didn't say that.
I don't think he did. I don't. That's
he
not
said
something
we
said.
had it. He basically said, and they did have it. I mean, the quarterback threw the ball, and the guy hit the guy hit him in the hands.
It's the same thing I got mad about last week with the Lions. Why are you putting your season's hands in a no-name running back?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
why?
Matt,
why are you doing
that?
Why?
That gives you your highest probability of getting a first down. You throw the ball to Goodson, that's probably the guy that's not going to be covered. You're in the NFL, bro. You got to catch that ball. The worst player on every team should be able to catch that ball. Your fullback can catch that.
It hit him in the
tight
hands.
ends.
If you watch the post game, he said it hit me in the hands. He was crying. I should have had it. He knows he should have had it. So it sucks.
Was it a bad ball from Minshew? No, I mean, if you lead him and you if you throw it in front of him, he might get popped. But if you throw it at him and he stops and just can fall right down right there, then your season's still alive.
With the line to gain, yeah.
Was it the best throw? No, but it was not a bad throw by any means.
I understand that they're all professionals. I get it. But your entire season is on the line. That's to me, what is your job as a play caller? Times like this, you need to find ways to get the ball into your best player's hands. The guy that's going to give you, I don't give a shit about probability. I don't care about what the analytics say. Okay, if my back is against the wall, I want to go to someone that I know if I hit you in the hands, you're coming down with it.
And
that's
even
not
if Taylor
a third-string running back.
Even if Taylor can't go, you still have Zach Moss in the wings, who Zach Moss really stepped up this season and played pretty well, if you ask me. I picked him up in fantasy, and he was ready to go. He was playing just as well as Jonathan Taylor did. So you have a really solid 1-2 punch. The fact that they went to Godsend, whatever his name is a little, I don't know.
Chris, did you have eyes on that game last night?
Yeah, I was watching it here and there. Honestly, couldn't tell you what the ending was. I've been so out of the loop in terms of the NFL with the Giants just breaking my heart every single week and just this mediocrity of a season that I just took a look I've been in tune with the NFC. I haven't been in tune with the AFC. And I just took a look, Facino, at the NFC or the AFC South. And I could have sworn the Jaguars had that locked up. And I don't know where I've been living under the last couple of weeks. But to me, to open up that app and see that they're 9-7 is absolutely absurd. So I got to do my brushing up on the AFC. But the NFC is an interesting picture too. So if you get into that, then I can provide a little bit more insight. But yeah, no, that's crazy. What was the situation, the scenario? I know you guys were just talking about it. Like, was it that bad of a throw?
4th and 1. It was a pretty tough throw. It was 4th and 1. There's about a minute and a half left.
4th and 1. They rush back to the line of scrimmage, and then they call a timeout with the Texans. The Texans had timeout. Basically, Texans scored a touchdown, missed the extra point. So if the Colts were in the red zone, and they were moving the ball well, had they gone in, they would have and kicked the extra point. It almost would have more or less been over. I mean, the Texans, I guess, would have had a shot, but it would have been kind of over, or at least rather, the Colts would have had the lead with a very small amount of time. They go for it. A play gets reviewed. They get a first down. Then another 3 downs happens. It's 4th and 1. They rush to the line just to call a timeout. Then they come out of that timeout. And the play design is throw to your third string running back in the flat.
Who was wide
open. Wide open. It was a bad pass.
Great play.
Wide open. But
and personnel.
Once again, that guy doesn't
Now, Matt, what if Jonathan Taylor was in on that play? Do you think that guy's as wide open as he was?
I think they run the ball.
But
I don't think they throw it.
You could have ran it, but like, this is what offensive coordinators do. You design for guys to be open for situations like this. You don't have to throw to Jonathan Taylor right there. You don't run that play. You don't have to do that. You're not locked into that.
I know we're talking about.
Nobody could run a 2-yard drag across the field. No one could do that. Like, come on. We're throwing to third string. We're throwing to third stringers on 4th and 1 with the season on the line. Are you stupid? Yeah. That's crazy.
Tough.
Third string is third string for a reason. I know they're all NFL players, but third string is third string for a reason. Sorry.
I read somewhere that 19 receptions all career or something like that. Like, he's not a very,
Chris, I cut you off before. I'm sorry. You.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying, like, I know we're talking about week 18 here and the optics of what the situation is in week 18, but can we just take a step back and just appreciate how competitive that division truly was in terms of when we were first starting out talking about that division early on this season? I mean, we didn't even think the Colts or the Texans, I mean, at least I didn't, had a shot at winning that division. It's absurd.
Well, you know what? That's the whole point of the NFL is how do you win games and stay healthy? And if you can't stay healthy, then you're going to lose some games. The Jaguars were 8-3. Trevor Lawrence got hurt. He tried to play. They lost another game. He tried to play again. The defense had a rough 2-week period. All of a sudden, they lose 4 straight, and the quarterback doesn't play. So they have a backup going up against the Panthers after losing 4 straight. Now at the same time, now you have a team that went through all that misery and now is finally healthy and could make a playoff push. So now it's beat the Titans, and all of a sudden you're the team that you were in September, not the team that you were in December. So, there's teams that, like the Dolphins, for example. The Dolphins had a really great season. Their season ended last week. No matter what anybody wants to say about it, the Dolphins are not a contender at all, and they're probably going to lose to the Bills. They'll probably get an away playoff game and lose in the first round. That's who the Dolphins are this year. And that sucks. I didn't think that's who the Dolphins were, but that's just what happens. It's unfortunate.
Now that you're bringing that game up, the Dolphins, we might as well bring up Sunday Night Football. They're playing that game in Miami. The winner wins the AFC East, and I believe is the 2 seed, correct?
No.
If Buffalo loses,
if Buffalo loses and if Buffalo wins and the Chiefs win, the Chiefs would be the 2 seed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's still a fall from grace for Miami. It's it's a definitely a resilient season for Buffalo, because a couple of weeks ago we were talking about them being kind of dead in the water, and
record 10-6 Buffalo?
they're 10-6. Yeah,
You got to know they were always waiting for I don't want to say the right time to turn it on, because the right time is obviously always, but they always had this in their back pocket. It was just a matter of when they figured it out. And now, if you ask me, Buffalo is starting to figure out the worst time possible for the rest of the NFL, because they're gonna win tonight, and they're gonna go into the playoffs with zero expectations, and that's when the Buffalo Bills are gonna be at their best, when no one's looking, no one's expecting anything from them. I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a run here.
Yeah, they still got yeah, they might.
I think there's 3 teams from the AFC you don't want to see in the playoffs. You don't want to see the Ravens, obviously. You don't want to see Buffalo, and I really think you don't want to see Cleveland. And I think if you're the Ravens, you really don't want to see Cleveland. If you're the Ravens,
can that
Cleveland
be a championship game?
If
Or
the
is that
Jaguars win, I don't think Cleveland gets out of the first round.
I think
believe that?
that's a bold prediction.
The Jaguars went to Cleveland, and Cleveland scored 3 plays where it was just a broken. It just felt like the coverage was broken. And when you let up 21 points, and they were all on third down, and then Trevor Lawrence threw 4 picks, and the Jaguars lost by like a touchdown.
Who was playing quarterback?
It was Joe Flacco.
Was it?
And you know what? If you go and take that game and put it in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence doesn't make any, he can make a mistake or two, it's fine. But if he doesn't make as many mistakes, I don't even think that the Browns can compete, because, look, Joe Flacco, man, if he throws to his tight end, all you have to do is double cover Njoku at this point. No one's done it really, but like the Jets are a prime example of our defense works. We're not going to, change anything. And the guy threw for 300 yards against you. Maybe if you just double the tight end and force him to throw to the outside, if Amari Cooper, goes for 250 yards, fine, so be it. That's what the Texans said. All right, you want to throw for 250 to Amari Cooper only? That's fine. But we don't want to let up that Njoku play over and over and over again like every other team's letting up. So I think that the matchup against the Jaguars is horrible for the Browns. And I think the matchup is good for the Browns for pretty much every team that doesn't have the best pass rush, the Browns should be good against. But you got to beat them by giving them the taste of their own medicine.
If I'm the Browns, I'm afraid to play the Ravens, just because
I think it's the other way around. I think the Ravens don't want to see the Browns,
because the Ravens don't have that crazy. They get home, but do they really get home like the way they should? Patrick Queen can cover though. I don't know. It's not going to happen week 1. And the Browns would have to win a game on the road, so it's not easy.
They're going to have to win throughout the playoffs on the road. They're a wild card team.
The Browns haven't won the NFC. The Browns are in the AFC North right now, but before that, they were in the AFC Central. The Browns haven't won a division in so long that the Jaguars, who haven't been in their division in the last 15 years, 18 years. I'm sorry. It's been 22 years since they've been in that division. The Jaguars have 2 division titles in the time span of that division. In the 90s, they won it. The Oilers have a fucking AFC Central championship more recent than the Browns. So the Browns
the Browns weren't in the AFC North at one point.
They were always there was no
AFC North.
It was
really?
the Central,
East, West, Central.
And the Central was a very competitive. It was a great division, actually. It was the AFC East used to have the Colts. I don't know if you knew that, but the AFC East had the Colts, and with Peyton Manning, this is my conspiracy theory, but a little NFL history for us before we move on here. The Colts were in the AFC East. They drafted Peyton Manning. He started to play well. The Jaguars were on the downturn, and they're in Jacksonville. Houston was added as an expansion team, and the Titans were just a regular, central team that they didn't felt like had the rivalries. But if you look at who they put in the AFC South and who they cupped up in the AFC North and the AFC East, the Colts never should have went to the AFC South. But I think they put them there to give Peyton Manning easy fucking division runs every year. And what happened? Peyton Manning won the division like 10 years in a row. Was that the NFL trying to create a Tom Brady-Peyton Manning rivalry, or was that just luck of the draw? I don't know, but they seem like a pretty northern franchise to me.
I have the same conspiracy theory with LeBron and NBA, so I completely get where you're going with that.
And the Ravens could have easily been an AFC South team. Why not?
Because the Ravens came from Cleveland. The Ravens were the Cleveland Browns. That's why they are where they are. They moved
Yes.
in 95. And the Colts were the AFC East because they were the Baltimore Colts.
Exactly. So
So,
what do you do with those teams? Nothing.
and honestly, if you're the NFL, you'd much rather the Colts be in the AFC East than anyone else because you could have had Brady Manning twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. You'd much
Yeah.
rather that than have them in the North or the South. But
Fair.
whatever. We digress. Let's talk about today. I have a couple things written down here. We talked a little about Buffalo, how dangerous they are. Before we, I really don't want to get Facino going. Before we get more into the playoffs, Robert Salah, is he definitely here next year? Because we were told he is, but do we buy that?
I don't know. You're the insider.
We were told he is, but do we buy it? I'm
I
asking
ask
you
you a
guys.
simple question. How many
Don't
games
ask me
has
if
the
he
guy?
deserves. Don't
has he
don't
outcoached
talk about
anybody?
merit. Don't
Ever?
talk about merit.
No, answer's
Talk
no.
about what you think the Jets are going to do.
No, they're gonna keep him because they're stupid. But
think
they
they're
should
gonna
get
keep
rid of him and at least get a fucking interview with Harbaugh and fire Joe Douglas.
Harbaugh's not leaving, dude. He's about to win a national championship. He's going nowhere.
I'm sorry, I think he
leaving.
might leave. He didn't sign anything.
I thought he did.
And I
It
just
doesn't
hear
matter if he is going anywhere. Give him an interview. Convince him. Do something to make the franchise better.
What'd you say, Chris?
Did I just hear the Sunny Days Media Football Show has an insider?
No. I have friends in Detroit who are around Salah's family, and all that's being told to me is he doesn't like it there. He wants to leave. He wants
Oh,
out.
Salah does?
Yes.
I mean, whether it's his fault or not, could you blame him? I mean, I feel like that franchise, the decision making just isn't there. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
We
But
talked about it.
I
a couple
digress.
weeks
I
ago.
think he's going to be there regardless, anyways, next year. So I agree with you, Casino.
I agree with that too, but we were saying a couple weeks ago that Woody Johnson just swings his dick around that place and kind of just like the whole Zach Wilson thing. Like Salah didn't want to play him. Joe Douglas didn't want to play him. Like he had to be Woody's guy type deal where it was coming from the top and they didn't really have a choice to what they wanted to do here. I think he stays, and I think he stays. It's because they really, really want to play back the what if scenario. Like this morning, I went on Twitter when I woke up and I saw 3 separate tweets saying today's the first day without, or today's the last day without Aaron Rodgers as a Jet or something like that. So I think next year we're literally going to get a carbon copy of how things were supposed to be this year just to see if it could work out. Then if it doesn't, and when it doesn't, then things will start to turn over a little bit.
If you're the owner, I'm telling the GM, you have 1 year, and if you don't add the right guys, I'll fire you. If you have a bad free agency, I'll fire you. I'll fire you before the draft. I don't give a fuck. You fucking make the right decisions, and you get a quality team on this field. I don't care about 2025. You want to trade 2025 draft picks during the draft? You want to trade 2025 draft picks after the draft for like Devontae Adams or something? You do that. You go get the best fucking team. You have 1 year. And you know what? If it doesn't work, you could try to ride it for one last year with Rodgers, and then you blow it up. You blow it up, and you bring in a new GM. This guy's got 1 year plus a burner year of trying to keep the roster together. There's no reason that this guy should be extended. And I know they have 1 more year on their contract, so there's no reason he should be extended. And there really is no reason he should have the job. But I mean, if you're gonna keep the job because you think that he did a good enough job getting on a plane and going to sign Aaron Rodgers, even though the guy already wanted to come here, had nothing to do with the GM, in my opinion. Like, what are we getting to? Like, we're just getting to the same old Jets,
My question here for Facino and Jerry is that I understand that results matter the most, right? When you're in the front office, especially if you're Joe Douglas and the results haven't been there. But in at least this season, maybe even going back to last season, the team on paper, the roster on paper, before the season started, were you all not happy with the roster that was put together on paper?
No.
Oh, I was planning my Super Bowl. He's wrong. I was planning my Super Bowl fucking parade trip. Like I was.
We
like,
were,
A lot
oh,
of Jets-
but
a lot
we
of
were
Jets fans
happy.
thrilled.
We were happy, but we weren't. The problem with the Jets is that as good as they were really good on defense. But when you went to the training camps, you were watching the defensive line just completely manhandle the O-line. So when that happens, you have two things you could say. We got to get better on the O-line, or, we must be the 85 Bears. There's no other. How are we doing this? How are we able to get past it? How are we blowing up the offensive line on every play during practice? We must be the 85 Bears. No. You were a good defense, and that offensive line was fucking horrible.
that's where our sights need to be set for the offseason for both the draft and free agency. We need
have
to
a
build on that
40-year-old
offensive
center,
line.
Jerry. We have a 4-year-old center, and we rolled out Connor McGovern, who's not a great – I don't think he's a good center at all. But whatever, you rolled him out, and then you never gave Joe Tippmann a rep. And then Tippmann, who you drafted in the second round to be a center, winds up playing center for most of the year. But, I mean, he was okay. He wasn't bad. He didn't let up a lot of pressures. He might be a guard. Maybe you have a guard. And that's who you should have as a second-year player that has a great pass block efficiency and can run block well. You go out in free agency and you sign yourself a center that knows how to fucking call out protections and is going to understand what Rodgers wants to do pre-snap and get somebody in there that you could build from the inside out. It starts with the center. If you don't have a good center, and if the center doesn't know what the fuck's going on, then the next guy's gonna get hurt. The next guy's gonna get hurt, and not even like physically hurt, but like it's gonna hurt his value to the team. You know, these hesitations, these half-second, lapses. A guy runs free. You know, like some of the stuff hasn't even have to do with physical blocking. It's just mentally, you don't know where to go. Like the Jets need interior O-line badly. You can't win without it. Look at the Browns. The Browns actually lost 3 tackles, but they have a great center. They have 2 great guards. They have a solid interior O-line. Fine. Let the edge rushers try to beat these guys around the edge. It's going to take them too long to get there if Joe Flacco knows where to go with the football. Like, the Jets were just built so poorly on the offensive line, and that's supposed to be what the GM's good at. That's supposed to be what his strong suit is. He's supposed to be an O-line guru. So
what's the play with the top 10 pick for the Jets? What's the play? Not to get into draft talk, but just preliminary here before we get into the next topic. What's the play for the Jets? They have what? According to Tankathon, they have what? The 8th pick, 7th pick right now, right behind Tennessee.
It's top 10.
What's the play? What's the play?
Well, there's only one real. The best play.
He's gonna say a quarterback
is to trade back, because if you trade back, there's a lot of interior linemen in this draft. There's also some tackles. But if you're at 8 and you have no ammunition because the Jets don't have a 2nd-round pick, all they have is a 3rd-round pick. You can't trade the 3rd-round pick because if you trade the 3rd-round pick to move up, now you got no picks in the top 120. You got 1 pick in the top 120. So you can't trade up. So at 7, which is the Titans, if they don't want to tackle, somebody's going to trade up to take a tackle in front of the Jets. Guaranteed. So what are they going to do at that point? You got to trade down, acquire a 2nd-round pick, draft an interior lineman or a receiver, and then whoever you didn't draft in the 1st round, go draft them with that pick you got in the 2nd round. You have to get better at both in both areas.
You know what this sounds like? You guys ever see You ever see Mean Girls?
Yeah.
You know when they're yelling at her saying you're trying to make fetch happen? It's not going to happen. Yeah, that's really how I feel about what you guys are doing with Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. The guy's 40, close to it. He's at this point in his career, he's a cancer. He doesn't help things. He's a cancer. He's a problem. Okay? See how happy those fans are in Green Bay? And they may not even go to the playoffs this year. Jordan Love doesn't even look like the answer. Well, I don't know. I don't really know what Jordan Love is. He might be the answer. He might not. Aaron Rodgers is a problem. Okay? When Aaron Rodgers hit the open market, how many teams were interested in him? There was like 2 teams. It's like 2 teams. It was the Jets and I think maybe the Raiders.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Broncos?
No, because the Broncos had Russell.
Okay.
Last year, 2 years ago, yes, the Broncos wanted Russell.
Yeah.
I think if you're the Jets, the best thing to do for this franchise, and they're not going to do it, is to blow everything up, and that means Aaron Rodgers too.
No.
That means Randall
I
Cobb.
agree.
That means Aaron
I agree.
Lazard. Blow
I
this
think-
up because
I think
this
they
is,
do that
no,
next
hear me
year.
out. Hear me out. You're okay, but you're going to do it a year too late because you're going to roll out next year. And I'm not saying he's going to blow his Achilles or anything like that. But for him,
Matt, if Rodgers is healthy, we're the 2 seed.
I don't know that you are, man. We watched Rodgers. We watched Rodgers play last year, and he wasn't that great. He really wasn't. It was
Yeah,
a
but-
divided locker room. People couldn't stand being around him anymore. People got annoyed with him. How is this guy hurt on the sidelines, providing nothing to this team, and yet he is the biggest talking point here?
So Matt, how do you
Like,
blow it
no,
up? Do you
what-
trade
how
him?
do you blow it up? You clean house. You clean house. You get rid
Buy
of
him out?
everything.
Yeah,
What do you
cut
do when you hear about cancer? When someone has cancer, what do? You cut the cancer out and everything around the cancer so it can't come back. But the Jets aren't going to do that. If you're the Jets, I'll tell you what the Jets should do if they're at 7 or 8. If Jaden Daniels or if you believe in Michael, this is a draft. You really need to look into your scouts and you really need to say, what do you think of these two guys? Okay, if the Jets scouts and the Jets front office have no belief in any of these quarterbacks, let it be. Facino, I agree. Take the path of build up the line because whether Rodgers is playing or anybody else is playing, you still need a good line, right? A line is the foundation. Both an offensive and defensive line is the foundation of any football team. I agree. But you need to be thinking about the future. If you have any belief in these quarterbacks, pick one of them.
If we can grab Michael Penix Jr. late in the draft, like late in the first round, early in the second round, whatever it might be, I'd be in for that.
I personally don't like Michael Penix. But I'm not a scout. My opinion of him, I think he looks great in college because he's hitting wide open guys over the top of the field. That doesn't happen in NFL games.
Yeah.
And like all of those passes he kept hitting his receivers on against Texas, if Texas had good corners, those are either a PBU or they're picked. Like he didn't drop it in a breadbasket. He threw it. The guy was one-on-one, and if Texas could have played any defense, he was throwing picks. I'm sorry.
You also
I-
sound like a
Yeah.
big time jaded NFC North fan of just getting your dick kicked in year after year from Aaron Rodgers. But I understand where
Telling
you're
you,
coming
it's
from.
not
I
the same.
get
It's
it.
not the same
I
guy.
think he's going to be better.
In what world?
We have
He
a
did
better
look
team.
good
I
We
think
have
we're
a
gonna
better,
get-
when
we
he
have a better
played.
team around him.
I think we're going to
There's
get
more
Devontae
weapons.
Adams.
It's younger. I think that's a
And I
possibility.
think that these guys
All
are
right,
going to go
listen.
crazy.
We next year, if the same fucking thing happens, I want both of you to come on this show in dunce caps.
Look, if he gets
And-
hurt, I mean, it's not. But if he doesn't get,
Oh my God!
injury's
It's not
the
like
only
it's
thing
not
that
like
could
he didn't get hurt
derail it.
this year. It's not like he didn't get hurt. It's not like he hasn't been hurt the past 5 years. This guy's hurt because he's old. He can't do what he used to do.
I'll back
And
my
he's sitting
guy,
there
and
on the
I'll take that
sideline.
action.
He's sitting there on the sideline. He's a fucking cancer. He is a cancer. That's
I
what
like.
he is.
First of all, I actually think the beliefs that he has are beneficial to the team because he has a very realistic, real world approach. These guys at 24 years old are told that have to say everything that's going to make the media accept them and this, that, the next thing. It's nice and refreshing to go into the locker room and have a 40-year-old guy at least talk about stuff like the Epstein client list.
Hey,
Because you know what?
Facino, all that stuff is
Like,
fine. I got no problem with the
pro
Jimmy
that.
Kimmel
I'm
stuff.
pro humanity. Like,
No.
I'm, like none of these guys. And you know what the other thing with is in the NFL? Like, there might be Travis Kelce on the Pfizer commercial and shit like that, but they agree. It's a us. We were all in a locker room. This is how these guys talk. They're not like these. Like they're more like Aaron Rodgers than they are not like him. I think
No.
that.
Facino,
And they look up to him
I'm
because of the talent.
I'm
that he
not
has
talking
and the
about.
experience.
I'm not talking about going on Pat McAfee and talking about the vaccine or anything like that. I
You're
don't give a
talking
shit
about causing
that.
internal drama within the
I'm talking about
organization.
causing
and trying to
internal
force out-
issues.
Yeah, I know. what
I'm
you're
talking about coming to a team and saying, "Oh, by the way, I want my buddy Lazard. I want Randall Cobb. I want this guy. I want these guys that provide nothing."
But he
You
didn't
wanted guys that provide
necessarily
nothing because
say
you have a
that.
history
We got
with them?
Randall
He
Cobb for
didn't
like
say
200
that.
He did say
That
that.
was his fault.
He did say
That was
that.
his fault because they
Are
didn't
you
even
kidding? He
sign
did say
Aaron
that.
Rodgers.
You think he didn't say that?
He didn't say you have to sign Allen Lazard. No.
What do you think he said behind closed doors?
I think you're wrong, Facino. I'm
I don't
sorry.
think
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Come on.
Facino, you're
Like you
wrong.
said,
You're
it'd be
right.
nice-
Why?
it'd be
Why
nice
else
to
would they
have
bring
Alan
in two
Lazard.
washed-up wide receivers?
Oh, hold on.
Why
Randall
else would you
Cobb-
bring in guys that
Lazard's
can
Randall
catch
not
a
Cobb
ball?
was
Cobb
brought
is.
in for a
Lazard's not.
different reason. Lazard was brought in because the Jets felt like they needed a fucking red zone target, and Alan Lazard, and he likes Alan Lazard. So they signed Lazard first. They tried to use Lazard to get Aaron Rodgers to come here because Aaron Rodgers likes him. But Aaron Rodgers, under no circumstance, said, you have to go get Alan Lazard or else I'm not coming here. There's no way. Because what he really said was, I'm going to take a pay cut and you're going to go get Devontae Adams. And then he got hurt, so they weren't able to do it at the trade deadline. That's why they had $7-8 million left over when they should have had zero going into the season. And, at this point, when you get hurt, now you got to focus on getting them this year. I think that if they're in the situation that they're in, fuck, what are you going to do? But you know what? You can maximize your situation by adding Devontae Adams because there's not one player in in football right now that can help Aaron Rodgers succeed.
You know what this sounds
more than
like?
him.
This is like dating a girl. This is like dating a girl, kind of not happy with her. You get her pregnant, and you're like, well, shit. I guess we just have to get married and let me buy this house I can't afford. Let me do a bunch of things I shouldn't do because I made one bad decision.
No, that's the
Like-
American dream. That's
No,
why we have
you're-
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers
No,
was a
that's
bad
not like
decision.
that.
No.
It's like
Aaron
dating-
Rodgers
it's like
wasn't-
it's like going out and
No.
dating Jennifer Aniston right now.
No,
That's what they're
I
doing.
don't get that one.
Well, Jennifer Aniston's still hot. Nobody
Okay,
can
but
take
at least
that away
Jennifer
from her.
Aniston has money. She's not doing things on your credit card.
Woody Johnson's rich. Woody Johnson.
If you have to marry Jennifer Aniston, but she gets to use your credit card, she doesn't look that hot anymore. It's only
No,
cool if she's paying for shit.
But we
okay.
are paying. We're paying.
Yeah,
for that.
yes. The
And it
Jets are
doesn't
paying.
matter because
yes.
the money is limitless. All Woody Johnson has to do is just prorate contracts, hand them their money, restructure, see you next year, restructure, see you next
Oh,
year.
you're right,
restructure.
Pacino. It's so easy because everybody could just do that.
But
Everyone
when you
just-
have a lot of
everyone-
money, you
yeah,
can.
everyone could just do that.
Casino's paying their salaries as a season
Well,
ticket holder.
with the
so
season
it's all
ticket holder,
right,
yes.
yeah.
Look. The way the Jets got under the cap for the last 3 years was restructure and pay out, right? Restructure and pay out, and then it goes, oh well, that bill's going to come due. But if that bill comes due and you keep restructuring and paying out, then when is the bill actually going to come due? Like right now, the Saints, you're seeing that with the Saints. The bill really never came due. They were able to sign Derek Carr. Think about that. How were you able to sign
Yeah,
Derek
and
Carr?
now they're
having
fucked
Drew Brees,
because they're
having
locked
Michael
into
Thomas.
that deal.
They might be fucked.
You want to talk about? You want to talk about?
and extend.
Wait.
Restructure
You want to talk
That's
about
why the
bad
salary
contracts?
cap
No.
doesn't exist.
No, it does.
There's a
It does.
reason
Look at the
it doesn't.
Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings next year. Go on their Spotrac. Okay, go take a look. Go take a look at all the money they kept pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins, Danielle Hunter, and all these guys that aren't going to play for them next year. They literally owe like 70, 80 million on.
But
not
if they
owe, but it's dead
wanted,
cap.
if they wanted to figure out a way to keep the train moving, if they had Aaron Rodgers and they said we need 1 or 2 more years to keep this train moving, that's fine. They could do it. Last year they tried to blow it up, and when you blow it up, you're saying I tried to spend money. I don't really need to spend the money anymore because I don't think we're contending. They tried to trade up for Anthony Richardson. Didn't work. If they were able to do that, then they would have blown it up last year and they wouldn't have extended any contracts. They would have let everything come due and move on and get younger. But look, the Jets don't have that luxury, and I don't think that it's time yet to add a young quarterback when you need a tackle and you need a guard, you need a receiver, and
I
we've
agree.
never
We can
had
wait.
a
We can wait.
4,000-yard passer. We've never had a fucking quarterback. We don't know what an actual quarterback can do. And we finally had Rodgers, and he blew out his Achilles. But I'm not going to say that right now. I'm not going to say that we should get rid of Rodgers because I know what it's like to have anybody else. I know what it's like to just go get the next guy. I know what it's like to get, to go through a 3-year process with a young quarterback and it not work out and you stick to him too long and it just fucking derails the whole franchise. I know what all that shit feels like, and so do you. What happened when the Lions got Jared Goff? They started playing better.
No. They looked awful because the team around him was awful. But the Lions put themselves in. The Lions were different because they were able to blow it up, and they told all the veterans, "Hey, we're not guaranteeing playing time." I mean, they were in a much different situation. The Jets had a relatively good roster, and then they got Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I think you could compare the Jets almost to, in a
The
way.
Giants.
Not even the Giants. I think no, because the Giants are still paying Danny next year, but they're able to get out of that deal. And
Rodgers is a free agent after next season as well, right?
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is playing.
It's the same thing. Our offensive lines are garbage. We're both paying top dollar for QBs that are probably not going to be the long-term solution, right? For the Jets, especially not. Daniel Jones is not going to be the long-term solution. This is the exact same situation. That's why I'm hesitant to sort of say that I 100% want a QB in this draft for the Giants, because I realize that this offensive line needs a ton of work, especially on the interior. Our guards stink. Right, we have Evan Neal that we don't even know what position he's going to play long term.
Here's the issue:
it's sort of a similar situation, I would say. But I digress. I'm still pushing my Jaden Daniels to the Giants agenda this season. So depends on what the Bears do at the top.
Do you believe? This is the question you have to ask yourself. Do you think you're going to be picking in the top 5, top 10 again next year? Because if you don't think that, then you need to, if you believe in any of these quarterbacks, you need to take one now, because you may not have the opportunity next year. If you believe in them, if there's any doubt, then no, you don't do that. You go offense. I always say this: you could never go wrong taking an offensive lineman in the first round every year. You could never go wrong, right? Guys are always getting banged up there. As we know today, offensive linemen are some of the most expensive players on the field. You always need them. You could always go younger, no problem. I just think, I don't know. Rodgers is a snake, and I think the way to kill it is cut it off the head and blow it up. And they're not going to do it. But I'm just saying this because I think a year from now, we're going to be sitting here in the same situation. I think at some point, things are going to blow up. He's going to say something stupid. You're all going to get mad at him. Or he's going to get hurt again, and you guys are going to say, oh, my God, only us. No, it's not only you guys.
Or
you saw it happen. You saw it happen the year before.
Or he's going to throw for 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
You know, sure.
When has that ever been an option? When has it ever been an option that a quarterback could throw 40 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, and win a Super Bowl for the Jets? It's never been an option. There's never been an option of a quarterback throwing 30 touchdowns or 3,500 yards or throwing less interceptions and touchdowns. Like the quarterbacks, it's been so bad that it doesn't matter. Like I'll put all the eggs in the Rodgers basket because I've never seen, there's never been a season in Aaron Rodgers' career that wouldn't be the best season that a New York Jet ever had.
Yeah.
So you're talking, I'm talking about an 18 game sample size.
Is that what you want though?
Yeah, I want anything that's better than Zach Wilson, man.
Chris, we need it. We don't even want it. We need it. It's unfair to the fan base at this point. Just give us a fucking Super Bowl run. Give us 2 years of going to the playoffs, and I'll shut the fuck up for a few years. Because I've seen with the Texans and with the Giants last year and the Colts this year, the Packers, the Jaguars.
It's fun, man. It's fun.
No, these teams they can rebuild. No, they rebuild and they get to the playoffs every once in a while. We haven't been to the playoffs in 12, 13 years now. At least the Giants have a Super Bowl since the last time the Jets have made the playoffs. Think about how long it's been since they made the playoffs. You guys are Super Bowl champions in that time frame. And the Giants have had a shitty fucking decade.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see what they're going to do. So I wrote down here some games that matter. Eagles at Giants matter. Minnesota at Detroit matters. Dallas at Washington. Chicago at Green Bay. Jacksonville at Tennessee. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Bills at Dolphins, which we spoke about. Seahawks and Cardinals. Do we see any upsets?
Yes,
in some of those games?
I think the Bears take a page out of the Lions book and crush the Packers. So.
You think so? I'm kind of leaning that way too.
I don't know. I like the Packers. I'm rooting for the Packers. I'll say that. I'm rooting for the Packers.
You're rooting for the Packers because your girl's rooting for the Packers.
You're a hometown hero.
Yeah, that'll help. That'll help.
Just trying to get some brownie points, you kiss ass.
That'll help.
If I see a picture where you wearing a cheese head, I'll drive down to DMV myself.
That'll help, man. All eyes are on that game today. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though. The Bears have what it takes, man. If the Packers lose for the second straight season when they had a winning-in situation, that would be something. I mean, let's face it though, the Packers, did we expect them to be at this point and Jordan Love to look as good as he has this season? That's a tremendous and speedy rebuild within itself. So I'll give them credit where credit's due.
Bears have been putting a pretty solid run though to close out the season here. I
they
think again, like I said before, I think we see them come in as the Lions reincarnated next season, where there's a new energy in the building and on the team and everything. So I think that'd be cool. Another upset I kind of do see. You might laugh at me. I called my shot on Christmas, but I think it happens again. I think the Giants beat the Eagles. I think the Eagles are fucking. I don't know what's going on there in Philly, but they're in real big trouble.
I'm gonna sprinkle Giants money line, 100%.
They're reeling. Hey,
Yeah.
real quick, that game that I saw, the Eagles Giants Christmas Day. I've never seen the Eagles and Jalen Hurts so discombobulated with his receivers, especially AJ Brown. And there's a lot of rumors coming out of Philadelphia that AJ Brown is not happy for one reason or another, which I honestly don't understand why. I'm not understanding if it's the workload. I'm not understanding what it is, because they're coming off of a Super Bowl appearance last season, right? And they start off the season very hot. That team is doing whatever it takes from the front office down to get the talent that they need to make another run. And I just don't understand what the disconnect is there. But they have some issues to figure out. And this is not the right time for them to be reeling the way they are.
It is not, no.
I think it's a Sirianni issue.
Yeah, I was about to say there's I heard a lot of whispers that the coach is not exactly. He according to part of my this is all recycled from part of my take here, but what they said was he does a lot of shit that when they win it flies, but when you're fucking when you're on an 0-3 skid, it's kind of like shut the fuck up. We need to figure this out now. Stop watching Rocky in your office every fucking night. Who do you think you are? Like like shit like that.
Yeah.
What else?
Seahawks at Cardinals. I think
the Seahawks
win
win this game handily. I think the Seahawks are a lot better than people give them credit for. I've been saying this all season long. I'm taking the Seahawks today. I like the Seahawks.
I'm taking the Cardinals. Cardinals knocked off the Eagles last week. Kyler Murray's fighting for his job. I think there's a good chance. I think they're going to stick with him. I don't know that they're going to take a quarterback.
I don't think they will either. He came back and I don't want to say he made a difference, but he came back and you could tell they were a different, they were a reinvigorated team. They were playing he came back week 13, 14, give or take. He's played I think 5 or 6 weeks. He's looked, like you said, I guess he is playing for his job basically, but still, he's definitely looked like there's a better energy in Arizona than there was when Josh Dobbs was there earlier.
Casino, what do you think about that game? Seahawks in Arizona.
I'm taking the Cardinals. I think the Seahawks are frauds.
Nah.
I'm not in on the Seahawks. Especially because they just can't fucking tackle. Like all you got to do is run the ball. And not only that, if you have big body receivers, you're going to just dominate them. So the Cardinals, Kyler Murray's going to run around, I'm sure. And if he can make some dudes miss, he's probably going to run he'll probably run for a touchdown. He'll probably run for, 50 to 100 yards. He's going to run all over them. And the Seahawks always do this. They have a good year, and maybe they sneak in, maybe they don't sneak into the playoffs, but they're just not. They never bother me. I'm never afraid to play that team. So, are they going to beat the Cardinals? I don't know. I don't think so. Especially because the Cardinals are they feel like that team that just came off a good win. Like they could parlay that into a nice ending to the season, and that's it. What are the Seahawks realistically doing in the playoffs?
I don't particularly want to see them. They've had our number past 2 seasons, but I think at the stage they're in, the stage we're in, I do feel comfortable. If we had to play them, I'd feel pretty comfortable about that.
What's there's another upset. If you want to call it an upset, I don't think it's will because I think this team's kind of playing to stay alive here. But I think the Rams might beat the 49ers today.
Rams are benching everyone.
The Rams are benching everyone, or the Niners are benching?
They locked in the 6th seed or something.
Oh, they're in.
No, they're not locked into the 6. They're just locked into a playoff spot.
They have a spot.
If they lose,
I didn't know they were locked
drop
in.
down to the 7.
Okay, I didn't realize they were locked in. Okay, that changes things. So that's gonna be an XFL game right there, isn't it? Because I can't imagine.
I think
the Niners are playing.
The Niners are playing guys because they're gonna have the first round bye. So I don't think they want guys sitting for 20 days.
Got it. What else we got? Falcons.
So it's basically Dallas or Detroit that they'd have to pick between the Rams if they win or lose. Is that what it is? I mean, depending on what the Eagles and Detroit does today.
Well,
right?
yeah. So if let's say if everything that we assume happens, Whatever happens, let's say Dallas wins. It doesn't matter what the Eagles do because if Dallas wins, Dallas takes the division. They take the 2.
Sure.
Yeah. Then the Rams would be going down to Dallas to play the Cowboys.
Between you all, if you guys lose and the Eagles win, do they overtake you for that third seed?
No, we're the 3 because the Eagles. No, we're not in the same division. Eagles are automatically, whoever the NFC East team that doesn't win the division is going to be the 5 automatically.
Second seed, yeah, understood.
So they get to play the winner of the NFC South.
That's going to be a very good day of football
today.
Yeah, we're gonna get our seedings. Everyone's gonna know what the fuck's going on for next week.
I'm just excited. I want to know the playoff schedule.
That's I think Monday night, or no, it's Sunday night. It comes out tonight.
Yeah, it comes out tonight. Oh, we lost Jerry. I don't know what happened right there.
I'm Jerry.
We
lost the Chris spot, but Chris is Ant.
Oh, this is not good. All right. Do we have?
Is he off? Is he?
I don't know.
Done?
I don't know. Well,
yeah,
Casino,
it's 12 o'clock. I
you
actually
had till
do have to
12.
run anyway, so.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I also have to prepare. I gotta, say a few prayers. This is basically a playoff game, so
huge day.
Yep.
Hey, Vecino, let me know if you want to come by today. I don't know if you got. Oh, we're still live. What the fuck am I doing? You guys have anything? You guys have anything else?
Good show. I appreciate you guys. Good to be back on.
Vecino, you got anything else before we finish?
No, I actually might come. Maybe I can come through for like the 4 o'clocks.
All right, let me know.
All right, I'll text you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you this week.